What if I told you that most traders lose not because they lack intelligence, but because they fall into emotional traps, reacting to every tick and candle as if their very livelihood depends on it? You felt that urge, the itch to chase after a runaway stock, the desperate need to get back what you just lost. Have you ever broken your trading plan because of a red candle? That moment of panic is the emotional trap Michael Martin exposes right at the heart of building your own trading system. You see, the market is a psychological battlefield, and the enemy is often your own impulsive mind. You're not alone. From Martin to Mark Douglas in Trading in the Zone, and even Brett Steenbarger's work, every seasoned author warns of the same pattern. The trader who jumps from system to system, chasing the next holy grail, only to get burned over and over again. You need to ask yourself, are you reacting to the market or are you responding with intention? Martin argues that until you can answer this question honestly, every new trading method is just another form of hope, disguised as discipline. Imagine it. You enter a trade, your heart pounds as the price swings. You tell yourself, just a little more, I'll get out. But deep down, you're no longer following your plan, you're hostage to your emotions. The brutal truth? Most traders lose money not because their analysis is wrong, but because they let fear and greed dictate their actions. Markets are designed to exploit human weakness, Martin writes. The cycle is as old as the markets themselves. Excitement turns to anxiety, anxiety to panic, and then regret. Then the spiral starts again. In The Inner Voice of Trading, Martin recounts how traders sabotage themselves by seeking instant gratification and refusing to accept loss. This is echoed by Jared Tendler, who calls it emotional tilt. That loss of objectivity when you start chasing, doubling down, or revenge trading after a loss. The only way out? You need awareness. You must recognize the pattern as it happens, and you must have a process, system stronger than your urge to react. Here's the wake-up call. Every successful trader has built a system to counteract their emotional flaws. Not a magic algorithm, not a foolproof prediction machine, but a set of rules, routines, and boundaries that keeps them from self-destruction. Steve Cohen, as cited by Martin, famously said, "You're only as good as your last trade," warning how easily ego and emotion can erase weeks of good work in just one impulsive moment. And yet, traders keep making the same mistakes because they refuse to build a process that anticipates their own weaknesses. You need to flip the script. Your goal is not to conquer the market, it's to conquer yourself. The emotional trap is always waiting, especially after a big win or a painful loss. You're not trying to win every trade, Martin insists. Your job is to show up, follow your process, and manage risk. This is the foundation for every other part of your trading system. If you keep letting emotion steer the wheel, nothing else you build will matter. But if you commit to noticing the trap, naming it, and stepping back, you're already ahead of most. Think of all the times you've said, "This time will be different." But unless you address your emotional patterns head-on, nothing will really change. As Martin shows, the traders who last are the ones who learn to sit with discomfort, to ride out the urge to react, and to act only when their plan tells them to act. You may not be able to erase your emotions, but you can design a system to contain them. So, here's your first lesson. Stop fighting the market and start fighting your knee-jerk reactions. Recognize the emotional trap before you fall into it. This is the first brick in the foundation of your own trading system, a system built to protect you from yourself, not just from the market's tricks. You can't build a trading system that works for you if you don't know what you believe about trading, money, and risk. That's the uncomfortable second truth Michael Martin forces you to confront. Before you start hunting for the best indicators or strategies, you need to turn inward and define your personal trading beliefs. Most traders skip this step. They borrow someone else's rules, download someone else's setup, and wonder why they keep blowing up accounts. But you're not most traders. You're here to break the cycle. Ask yourself, what do you actually believe about markets? Do you secretly think they're rigged against you? Or do you trust that with enough discipline, you can find an edge? How do you view risk? Is every loss an attack on your ego or just a cost of doing business? Your answers to these questions shape every trading decision you make, even if you're not aware of it. As Martin points out, Your beliefs will be reflected in your results, no matter how much you try to hide from them. If you're honest, you'll see that your trading account is a mirror for your psychology. This is a concept echoed by Mark Douglas, who famously said, "You don't trade the markets, you trade your beliefs about the markets." So, what hidden beliefs are running your show? Do you believe you need to be right? Do you fear missing out more than you fear losing? The most dangerous beliefs are the ones you haven't acknowledged because they show up as sabotage in your system. Martin insists you must write your beliefs down. Don't skip this. When you commit your beliefs about trading to paper, you expose blind spots you didn't know you had. You might realize you're drawn to excitement or that you crave certainty and struggle when the market is ambiguous. Maybe you fear loss so much that you cut your winners short and let losers run. Every trading system that works is built on an honest foundation. Otherwise, it will collapse the moment your core beliefs are tested by the market. This self-examination is not a one-time task. Martin's method, like that of Dr. Brett Steenbarger, is about continual self-discovery. As you gain experience, your beliefs evolve. What you believe after 100 trades is not what you believed at the start. You must check in with yourself regularly. Are you still acting out of fear? Are you trading to feel alive? Or are you trading to make money? The process of clarifying your beliefs is as important as the process of designing your rules. Here's where most traders trip up. They think discipline means suppressing their real desires or pretending to be someone they're not. But your trading system should work because it aligns with who you are, not despite it. If you build your system on borrowed beliefs, you'll eventually rebel against it. The stress, the urge to deviate, the sense of being trapped, it all comes from trying to force yourself to fit into someone else's mold. Instead, build a system that channels your own psychology, both strengths and weaknesses. Michael Martin shares the story of traders who lose money, not because their system is bad, but because it goes against their natural tendencies. A trader who hates waiting but trades a slow, trend-following system is doomed to intervene at the worst moments. The system breaks, not because of the market, but because of the trader's hidden beliefs. To avoid this, you must be radically honest. Write your beliefs, review them, challenge them. Only then can you begin designing rules that fit you. Remember, you're not trying to copy someone else's path. You're forging your own. That starts with belief. And as Jared Tendler reminds us, you can't change what you don't understand. So take a hard look at what you truly believe about risk, reward, winning, and losing. Your trading system will only be as strong as the foundation of beliefs that supports it. If you skip this, you'll repeat the mistakes of the masses, forever searching for a system that never feels quite right. So, grab a pen. Write it down. What do you believe about trading? About risk? About yourself? This is your starting line. You're building your system on solid psychological ground, not hope, not hype. Transforming discipline into habit isn't just a motivational cliche. It's the hard edge that divides those who survive from those who crash out of the markets. You might think discipline means simply forcing yourself to stick to your plan, gritting your teeth and resisting temptation. But if you have to battle yourself every single trade, you will eventually lose. Michael Martin reveals that discipline only becomes reliable when it's transformed into automatic behavior, habit. That's the secret. Real discipline feels effortless because you've made it part of who you are. So, how do you actually do this? Start by realizing that habits are built on repetition, not willpower. Your willpower is limited. The more you rely on it, the faster it runs out, especially when stress spikes. The market will find a way to break your discipline. Martin warns, unless you build habits that stand up under pressure. Think of the professional athlete or the elite soldier. They don't debate whether to show up and practice. Their routines are so ingrained that skipping is not an option. That's how your trading habits must become. Every trading action should be tied to a routine. That means you don't just have a trading plan, you have a trading ritual. For example, before the market opens, you review your levels, check your emotional state, update your journal. This isn't busy work. It's a ritual that centers you, primes your mind, and reduces the chance of emotional hijacking. You need to automate everything you can. Set your stops the same way every time. Enter and exit positions, following the same checklist. Martin and trading psychologist Brett Steenbarger both agree. When the process is automatic, your emotions have less room to interfere. Compare this to how most traders operate: random, inconsistent, improvisational. One day they size up their positions aggressively, the next day they play it safe. They follow one guru's call on Monday and switch to another on Tuesday. There's no habit, just a constant struggle to reinvent themselves under fire. Have you ever abandoned your routine the first time things went wrong? That's not discipline. That's self-sabotage. Discipline that isn't habit is a weak shield. Martin shares the story of a trader who set rules for himself, but found that, under pressure, he always broke them. He realized it wasn't because he was weak, but because he never repeated the rules long enough for them to become second nature. You can relate, can't you? Maybe you stick to your stops for a week, only to move them when the pain gets real. Or you journal for a month, then stop when you hit a losing streak. That's the signal your routines are still fragile. They need more repetition, not more motivation. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be consistent. Even the best traders slip up, but they fall back on routines that pull them back to center. James Clear, in Atomic Habits, echoes Martin's insight. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Your job is to make your trading rules so routine that you follow them automatically, especially when your mind is screaming to do the opposite. And here's the real benefit. As you repeat your routines, your confidence grows. You see yourself following your plan, and this positive feedback loop makes the habit even stronger. It's not about having iron willpower. It's about constructing an environment, checklists, alarms, accountability partners that nudges you to act the right way without having to fight yourself. The goal is to make good decisions the default. So make it practical. Set a ritual for your trading day. Review it, repeat it, refine it. Don't judge your success by profits alone. Judge it by how consistently you follow your process. When you slip, don't punish yourself. Reset and repeat. Over time, discipline becomes habit, and habit becomes identity. That's the backbone of your system, stronger than any market signal or secret indicator. The traders who last don't have more discipline, they have better habits. Start now. Design your trading day so discipline is no longer a battle, but your default. That's how you survive and thrive in the long run. You need to wake up to the real job of a trader: managing risk, not predicting the future. This is a lesson hammered home by Michael Martin and echoed by every true market veteran. The market doesn't care about your predictions. It rewards those who survive, not those who are right. If you're still caught up in the fantasy of calling tops and bottoms, it's time to stop fooling yourself. Your primary responsibility is risk management. Everything else is noise. Think back to all the times you've obsessed over where the S&P will go tomorrow or scoured Twitter for clues about a stock's next move. Did it help? Maybe once or twice, but over the long haul, it's a losing game. Martin drives this home. You're not being paid to predict. You're being paid to manage uncertainty. Your edge comes from protecting your capital, not from being a guru. The market's greatest teachers, Larry Hite, Ed Seykota, Mark Douglas, agree. Control your losses, and the wins will take care of themselves. You must accept that losses are part of the game. In fact, losses are the tuition you pay to the market. Instead of fighting them, you need to contain them. This is where your trading system earns its keep. Do you have clear rules for when to get out? Or are you still praying that a loser will turn around? Too many traders refuse to accept a small loss and end up with a catastrophic one. Martin calls this the illusion of control, thinking you can outsmart risk with enough analysis or conviction. But conviction is not a substitute for risk management. Look at the stories. Ed Seykota, featured in Market Wizards, survived because he cut losses quickly, not because he predicted every move. Even legendary traders lose often, but they never let a single loss define them. They use stops, size their positions conservatively, and never risk more than they can afford to lose. As Martin says, a trader's job is not to know what happens next, but to make sure that what happens next doesn't destroy them. This is a cold truth, but an empowering one. When you realize you don't have to predict, you're free to focus on process. You stop caring about being right and start caring about doing what's necessary to protect your account. Your job isn't to be right, It's to stay in the game. That's how real professionals think. They know the market is a wild animal, impossible to tame, but they can control their own exposure. Think about your own trading history. How many times did you make money by ignoring your stop? And how many times did you give it all back, plus more, when a loser spiraled out of control? Martin reminds you, the only trades that hurt you are the ones you refuse to close. That's the voice of experience talking. Your system must bake in risk management from the start. Before you enter a trade, you should know exactly where you'll get out, win or lose. If you don't, you're not trading, you're gambling. This perspective shifts everything. It means you stop caring about win rates and start caring about risk reward. It means you size your position so a single bad trade can't take you out. It means you become ruthless about following your exit rules, even when it hurts. This is how you develop true confidence, not the bravado of making a big call, but the quiet certainty that you'll survive, no matter what the market throws at you. The irony is, when you give up the need to predict, your performance improves. You stop second guessing. You react faster. You let go of trades that don't work and move on. You become what Martin calls anti-fragile, able to withstand shocks and adapt. This is what separates the amateur from the professional. So, make this your new mantra. My job is risk management. Everything else is secondary. Build your system around this truth, and you'll finally have the foundation to grow as a trader. Not by chasing the future, but by surviving it. Crafting your trading system around your strengths and weaknesses is non-negotiable if you want to thrive long-term. Here's the brutal truth. Every trader's system must fit their unique psychology, skills, and emotional triggers. You can't shortcut this by copying someone else's plan, no matter how much success you see on their social media feed. Michael Martin makes it clear, your system must be as individual as your fingerprint, or you're setting yourself up for chronic frustration and failure. Think about your own journey. How many times have you tried to force yourself into someone else's rules? Maybe you read about a day trading method that worked for a YouTuber, or you bought a swing trading course promising quick riches. But when you tried to execute it, you found yourself anxious, second-guessing, or just plain bored. Why? Because you were ignoring your own wiring. A system is only as good as your ability to stick to it, Martin writes. If your system constantly triggers your stress points, you will eventually rebel, override your rules, or walk away in defeat. This isn't just Martin's perspective. Steve Ward, author of High Performance Trading, calls it personal alignment. You need to know yourself. Are you patient or impulsive? Do you thrive on action, or do you need time to analyze and decide? Are you comfortable with lots of trades and quick decisions, or do you need a slower pace and fewer moving parts? If your system forces you to act in ways that don't fit your nature, it becomes a source of tension, not confidence. You also need to know your strengths. Maybe you have a knack for spotting big picture trends, but struggle with rapid fire execution. Maybe you're great at quick pattern recognition, but hate sitting through drawdowns. The point is to build a system that leverages what you do well and minimizes exposure to what you don't. That means choosing markets, time frames, position sizes, and entry-exit styles that play to your advantages. Don't be ashamed of your weaknesses. Design around them. Martin shares stories of traders who transformed their results simply by switching from discretionary to mechanical systems, or vice versa, to better match their personalities. Let's be honest. Most traders run into trouble because they underestimate their emotional triggers. They believe if they just try harder, they'll be able to follow any system. But no amount of discipline can make you love trading styles that drive you crazy. If your system makes you uncomfortable, you will change it, Martin warns. The solution? Identify your triggers before they blow up your account. Maybe you're tempted to overtrade after a big win, or you freeze up after a loss. These patterns don't go away. They repeat until your system accounts for them. This is where self-reflection and brutal honesty come in. Keep a record of your feelings and reactions. When did you panic? When did you hesitate? When did you feel at ease? Over time, you'll see clear patterns. Use this data to fine-tune your rules. For example, if you can't sleep with big positions overnight, reduce your size or move to intraday trading. If you lose focus after 3 trades, limit yourself to 2. Don't force yourself to be someone you're not. As Mark Douglas said, the best traders don't try to change who they are. They build systems that fit who they are. And don't forget your strengths. Amplify them. If you're naturally analytical, add layers of confirmation and backtesting to your strategy. If you're fast and decisive, design a system that rewards quick action and doesn't require hours of deliberation. This isn't a one-time setup. It's an ongoing process. As you grow, your system should evolve with you, always reflecting your current skills and limits. Here's your call to action. Start by writing down your strengths, weaknesses, and emotional triggers. Match your rules to what you see on paper, not what you wish were true. Adjust, test, and refine. Remember, the best system is not the most popular one. It's the one you can execute day in, day out, without self-sabotage. That's how you build a sustainable edge and finally step off the hamster wheel of trading frustration. You're probably tempted to believe that complexity equals sophistication in trading. The more indicators, the more screens, the more intricate your strategy, the better, right? Michael Martin, alongside many of the most respected trading psychologists, would warn you otherwise. Simplicity is your greatest weapon. The power of simplicity in strategy design is not just a preference. It's an essential safeguard against emotional sabotage and decision fatigue when the market throws you into chaos. Let's get honest. When you're in a trade and the pressure mounts, do you really want to be juggling 6 conflicting signals, a dozen chart patterns, and 3 time frames? You don't. Complexity creates hesitation. Simplicity breeds confidence. A simple system is robust, Martin insists. When your rules are clear and direct, you act without second guessing. This is echoed in Mark Douglas's teachings. Confusion is the enemy of execution. If you don't know exactly what you're supposed to do next, you freeze or improvise. And improvisation is where discipline dies. Why do traders fall in love with complexity? The answer is psychological. You might believe that more complexity means more control, or that sophistication will shield you from loss. But the market exposes this fallacy every day. Michael Martin points to veteran traders who thrive with shockingly basic rules. Buy breakouts, sell breakdowns, cut your loss. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're trying to survive and win over hundreds, even thousands of trades. Simplicity lets them scale, automate, and stay sane. Think about the alternative. Complex strategies crumble when reality diverges from backtesting. A system that depends on 5 variables firing perfectly will almost always fail in live conditions. More moving parts means more chances for something to break, especially under stress. As you gain experience, you'll see the beauty in paring down. Your goal isn't to eliminate thought, but to clarify it. If X happens, I do Y. If it doesn't, I wait. It's that clean. Martin shares the example of a successful trend follower who uses just 2 moving averages and a trailing stop. No clutter, no guesswork, no ego. This is where the rubber meets the road. Simplicity is what allows you to follow your system in the heat of battle. It's what prevents you from making that panicked late-night exception, just this once, that costs you a month's gains. And it's what keeps you consistent, which is the only thing you truly control in a world of random outcomes. Simple rules, ruthlessly applied, as Steve Clark said in The Playbook, is what builds a career. You don't need to take Martin's word alone. Steve Burns, Linda Raschke, and Richard Dennis all succeeded with rules so basic you'd laugh, until you realized that their edge was in discipline, not complexity. They understood what Michael Martin drives home. Every additional rule is another point of failure, another crack for emotion to seep through. When the market gets ugly, only the simplest systems endure. You may fear that a simple system will miss trades or leave money on the table. But remember, your goal is not to capture every opportunity, but to survive and thrive over the long run. Simple systems are easier to automate, easier to measure, and easier to improve. Most importantly, they leave you with energy and focus to manage your true job, risk. Here's your challenge. Take your current rules and cut them in half. Ask yourself, which steps add real value and which just make me feel busy? The answers will surprise you. You'll discover that clarity, not cleverness, makes you a consistent trader. You're building a process you can trust, even when you're tired, anxious, or distracted. Simplicity is strength. The best traders don't get lost in complexity. They get paid for doing simple things exceptionally well over and over. Strip your system down to what matters. When the next storm comes, you'll be ready. Embracing uncertainty and letting go of perfection isn't a feel-good slogan. It's the emotional gauntlet every trader must run. If you're waiting for the day when trading finally feels predictable, safe, or controllable, Michael Martin wants you to wake up now. The single greatest mistake you can make is trying to engineer away all risk and all randomness from your process. Perfectionism in trading isn't just futile, it's toxic. The market will punish you every time you chase certainty over sound risk management. Consider how you react to losses. Do you double down on analysis, searching for that one tweak that will make your system flawless? Do you keep rewriting your rules after every setback, hoping to create a no-lose formula? This is the trap Martin exposes with brutal clarity. The market is an environment of endless uncertainty. As long as you seek perfection, you'll remain stuck in an exhausting, self-defeating loop. You'll change systems at the first sign of trouble, jump from one indicator to the next, and miss the deeper lesson. No system is perfect, and that's exactly as it should be. Think of the best traders: Richard Dennis, Paul Tudor Jones, Linda Raschke. They don't eliminate uncertainty, they embrace it. They know that every trade carries an unknown outcome. They structure their rules and risk around this reality, not in denial of it. Your job is not to know the future, Martin says. It's to act in the face of the unknown, with courage and humility. If you find yourself paralyzed by the fear of being wrong, you are not managing risk. You are running from it. The market will always win that game. This is where you need to flip your mindset. Losses are not evidence of a broken system. They are evidence that your system is operating in a real, unpredictable world. Every winner you admire has streaks of losses, periods of drawdown, times when nothing seems to work. They don't respond by tearing up their playbook. They double down on process. You are not your last trade, Martin insists. If you measure your worth by perfection, you will spiral into self-blame and rash decision-making. Mark Douglas called this accepting the risk. If you can't make peace with the random outcome of each trade, you'll be forever in conflict with yourself, with your system, and with the market. Your edge isn't in being right every time. It's in surviving the uncertainty better than the next person. That means putting limits on your losses, letting your winners run, and sticking to your rules even when you're feeling doubt. Perfection is the enemy of good trading, and the quest for certainty is the siren song that drowns most traders. So, how do you build a system that survives uncertainty? You make it robust to mistakes. You predefine your exits, not just for profits, but for losses and even for "I was wrong, get me out." You give yourself permission to be wrong, often. You size your trades so that no single mistake can wreck you. And you build your routine so that after a setback, you don't spiral, you reset. Your trading system is your life raft in chaos, Martin says. It's not a magic carpet. You will get tossed around. Your only job is to stay afloat. What does this mean for your daily practice? Accept that losing trades and even strings of losses are normal. Journal not just your trades, but your feelings about uncertainty. Watch yourself in those moments. What are you trying to control that you can't? Where are you demanding perfection when you need only progress? The most resilient traders are those who say, "I don't know what comes next, and I don't have to." They survive, and they win, because their system allows for failure and keeps them moving forward anyway. Your call to action is clear. Let go of the myth of perfect trading. Build a system that bends but doesn't break. Embrace the uncertainty and focus on execution, not outcome. That's how you win, not by controlling the market, but by controlling yourself in the face of the unknown. You might think of a trading journal as nothing more than a tedious log of entries and exits, a chore for beginners. But Michael Martin and every trading psychologist worth reading will tell you the opposite. Your journal is the beating heart of your trading evolution. It's not just a spreadsheet of numbers. It's a mirror, a confessional, and if you use it well, your most powerful tool for building a true trading edge. Let's be honest. Most traders resist journaling because it exposes uncomfortable truths. When you look back at your trades, the patterns jump out. The late entries, the missed stops, the moments you hesitated or doubled down against your rules. A journal forces you to face yourself, Martin writes. You can only fix what you admit. This is not just about tracking profits and losses. It's about tracking your thinking, your emotions, and your reactions in real time. Think about what happens when you have a losing streak. Do you find yourself blaming the market or external events? Or do you dig into your journal to find the real source of the problem? Maybe you were tired, distracted, or acting out of revenge. Martin's most successful students used their journals to identify personal triggers and patterns that no amount of chart analysis could ever reveal. As Brett Steenbarger says, journaling transforms experience into expertise. Every entry is a lesson if you're willing to learn from it. The value of self-reflection goes far beyond performance stats. Your journal is where you document the gap between what you plan to do and what you actually did. This is how you see your real system in action, not just the theory, but the practice. Have you ever written a perfect plan and abandoned it the moment money was on the line? That disconnect is where your growth lies. The act of journaling creates a feedback loop. You spot emotional mistakes, course correct, and build better habits. Over time, you see your blind spots shrink, your discipline tighten, and your confidence grow. Don't make the mistake of thinking journaling is just for new traders. The best in the business, Paul Tudor Jones, Linda Raschke, keep meticulous records, not because they have to, but because they want the edge of self-awareness. Martin tells the story of a trader who turned his fortunes around by recording not only his trades, but also his thoughts before and after each decision. He found that his biggest drawdowns always followed periods of overconfidence, something he'd never have caught without written evidence. This is the journal as a trading partner, holding you accountable when your memory wants to smooth over the rough spots. Practical journaling isn't about writing essays after every trade. Start simple. What was your plan? What did you actually do? How did you feel before, during, and after? Were there external stresses in your life that colored your decisions? Over time, add detail, screenshots, voice notes, or even quick mood check-ins. This isn't just data, it's the foundation for targeted improvement. As Jared Tendler notes, if you don't track it, you can't fix it. Your journal is also your best weapon against self-delusion. In trading, selective memory is deadly. It's easy to remember the wins and rationalize the losses, but the truth is in your notes. When you journal with ruthless honesty, you spot the patterns that will either make you or break you. Your system can't evolve if you don't know where it's actually failing. And when you do succeed, your journal tells you exactly why, so you can replicate that success, not chalk it up to luck. Here's your challenge. Commit to journaling every trade for the next month. Track not just the numbers, but your psychology. Review weekly. What patterns do you see? Where are you slipping? Where are you improving? This isn't just homework. It's the process of building self-mastery, the edge that every professional has and every amateur lacks. Your journal is where your trading system comes alive, or where it quietly dies, ignored and unexamined. The market will teach you the same lesson again and again until you're willing to face it. Make your journal your coach, your confidant, and your map forward. That's the edge no one else can copy. The myth of the lone trading genius is seductive, but it's just that, a myth. In reality, the influence of mentors and the trading community is one of the most underrated drivers of your growth and the evolution of your trading system. Michael Martin, like Mark Douglas and Mike Bellafiore, hammers this point home. You may be alone in pressing the button, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel in isolation. The right community and mentors are force multipliers for your learning, your accountability, and your long-term resilience. Ask yourself, how much time have you wasted making the same mistakes others could have warned you about? You've seen it. The stubborn trader who refuses advice gets chewed up by the market and ends up blaming the game instead of learning from those ahead of him. Martin shares stories of traders who spent years wandering in circles, only to see their growth accelerate once they connected with mentors who challenged their blind spots and pushed them beyond their comfort zones. A mentor isn't just someone with more experience. They are a mirror and a compass. They see your blind spots because they've survived them. They know the traps your ego will set for you, the shortcuts that will cost you, and the moments where encouragement is worth more than any technical insight. In The Inner Voice of Trading, Martin describes how a simple phone call or email exchange with a mentor saved him from catastrophic errors, not because he got a magic answer, but because he was forced to confront his own thinking. But mentors alone aren't enough. The trading community, whether it's a tight-knit group, a trading desk, or even an online forum, offers accountability and diversity of perspective. As Mike Bellafiore writes in One Good Trade, surround yourself with people who will call you out, keep you honest, and push you to improve. Your trading journal holds you accountable to yourself. Your community holds you accountable to reality. It's easy to rationalize bad decisions in isolation. It's much harder when a group of peers can see your process, question your logic, and celebrate your growth. The benefits don't end at accountability. The right trading environment accelerates your learning curve by exposing you to new strategies, market conditions, and ways of thinking. You absorb wisdom by osmosis. How others handle losses, adapt to volatility, or bounce back from mistakes. Martin notes that the best traders never stop learning from others. They share ideas, challenge each other, and embrace humility in the face of the market's unpredictability. Your network is your safety net, he says. It catches you when your own vision narrows. It's important, however, to be selective. Not every mentor or trading group is created equal. Seek out those who have actually survived the game, whose advice is rooted in experience, not just theory or bravado. Look for mentors who ask more questions than they give answers, who teach you to think for yourself rather than hand you rigid rules. As you grow, pay it forward. Share your own lessons with those behind you. Teaching clarifies your own thinking and deepens your sense of purpose in the trading journey. This isn't about outsourcing responsibility. Your trades, your risk, your evolution, those remain yours alone. But you're a fool if you ignore the lessons of those who've walked the path before you. The market is ruthless to egos. The humility to learn from others, to seek feedback, and to accept help is not a weakness. It's the ultimate edge. So here's your call to action. Reach out. Ask questions. Find a mentor whose story resonates with you, or join a community that prioritizes growth and honesty over hype and noise. Share your struggles as well as your successes. Your trading system will not just be a set of rules, but the living sum of every lesson, warning, and insight you gather from those around you. And as you progress, you'll realize the lone wolf doesn't last. The connected trader, open to influence and correction, survives and thrives. Commitment, evolution, and building for the long run. These are the true differentiators that separate the survivor from the casualty in trading. Michael Martin, closing the loop on the journey of building your own trading system, issues the ultimate challenge. Are you willing to adapt, to stay humble, and to refine your process as markets shift beneath your feet? Because the markets will change. Your psychology will shift. What worked for you in one phase may fail in the next. Your commitment to continual evolution is not optional. It's mandatory. Look back at the traders who didn't make it. Almost always, it's because they clung to yesterday's playbook or confused early success with permanent mastery. The graveyard of the markets is filled with those who thought they had finally arrived and then refused to adapt. Markets evolve, and so must you, Martin cautions. The rules you built a year ago might be obsolete tomorrow. The best traders are never done learning. They don't rest on their laurels or freeze when volatility rears its head. Instead, they treat every new market regime as a fresh test, a chance to strengthen or even overhaul their system. This doesn't mean chasing every new idea or ditching your system after every drawdown. Commitment is not about stubbornness. It's about consistency in your process, paired with the flexibility to review, analyze, and tweak your rules as reality changes. You must build checkpoints into your journey, monthly or quarterly reviews, honest postmortems after big wins or losses, a willingness to ask, what has changed in me? What has changed in the market? And crucially, is my system still serving me, or do I need to adapt? Humility is your greatest asset here. No matter how much experience you gain, you're only ever one mistake away from a major setback. The traders who endure, like those Martin describes, maintain a beginner's mind. They're always seeking feedback, both from mentors and from their own data. They keep journaling, keep reflecting, keep asking the hard questions. When ego takes over, evolution stops, and the market finds a way to remind you who's boss. It's also about pacing yourself for the marathon, not the sprint. Anyone can get lucky over a handful of trades. Anyone can have a good month. The pros think in years, in decades. They size positions so they can survive a string of losses. They avoid putting their identity in one trade, one idea, one outcome. You're building a business, not chasing a thrill, Martin reminds you. Your system is your means of survival, but your adaptability, your willingness to keep evolving, is your means of success. Here's your final call to action. Commit to the long game. Make evolution a feature of your system, not an afterthought. Schedule regular reviews. Keep learning from every trade, every market cycle, every conversation with those ahead of you. Never believe you're finished. You're not just building a trading system, you're building the habits, the mindset, and the humility to thrive for decades to come. Survival, then success. Evolution, then mastery. That's the path of every real trader who lasts. By now, you understand that building your own trading system is not a one-time checklist, but an ongoing process, a living, breathing journey that demands brutal self-honesty, humility, and relentless commitment. You've seen that the emotional traps and impulses you fight are the same ones faced by every trader who ever stepped into the arena. Your beliefs about risk, your habits of discipline, and the clarity of your rules aren't just academic. They are your armor and your edge. You know the goal isn't to predict the market, but to manage risk, adapt, and survive. Each part of your system must fit your unique strengths, be robust in its simplicity, and remain flexible in the face of uncertainty. You recognize that your journal is a secret weapon, and that mentors and community accelerate your growth by holding a mirror to your blind spots. Above all, you now see that commitment to continuous evolution is the only way to thrive in markets that never stand still. So, what should you do next? Start by reviewing the section that hit you hardest. Maybe it's your beliefs, your risk management, or your journaling routine. Take action. Write down your trading rules, audit your habits, and reach out to a trading mentor or community. Above all, start journaling with honesty and schedule regular system reviews. The market will test you again and again, but with this blueprint, you're building the internal foundation to withstand every storm. If this content woke you up, share your own trading struggles and victories in the comments. Like, subscribe, and join the community of traders committed to evolving, not just surviving, but thriving. Your journey is just beginning. What will you do differently tomorrow?